The term New Woman was coined by Sarah Grant in her article The New of Women Question in 1894. The term came to be associated with the feminist, educated and independent career-oriented women. The fight for women's emancipation and sprouting for radical activities gathered its momentum in the late Victorian era. Virginia Woolf, in her essay A Room of One's Own, encourages a new woman to have financial independence for fulfilling her dreams and a room of her own for developing her imaginative faculty. She writes that a woman must have money and a room of her own if she is to write fiction. After the advent of this term, the concept of new woman became a dominant theme in Victorian literature and several fictions were written embodying this character. The character Jane of the novel Jane Eyre, written by Charlotte Bronte, stands for new woman who is humble, submissive, but rebellious against oppression, inequality and male domination. Through the character of Jane, Charlotte Bronte creates a woman so unlike any other woman of the time. She creates a new woman, a woman who succeeds on her own terms regardless of circumstances and independent of her male counterpart. Jane continually defies the status quo by which traditional women in the Victorian era behave and act upon. One of the first instances in which she passes the line between what it is to be a traditional woman and a new woman is as a child when she stands up to her aunt Mrs. Reed for the first time. Cold and disparaging Mrs. Sarah Reed, who regarded Jane as a jinx, an encumbrance inferior to a maid, Jane's early feminism came out in protest, and she once vented out all her anger on her aunt and said powerfully,
"You said I was a liar. I'm not. If I were to say I loved you, and I don't, I dislike you less than anybody in the world. People think you are good, but you are bad and hard-hearted. I'll let everyone know what you have done."
Children must be corrected for their faults.
Deceit is not my fault.
You are passionate.
My Uncle Reed is in heaven. So are my mother and father. They know how you hate me and wish me dead. They see everything you do, and they will judge you, Mrs. Reed.
Get out.
Jane's rebellion against Mrs. Reed represents her feminist consciousness in getting esteem from other people as a decent and respectable person. The time spent at Thornfield is the most splendid part of the whole book. She meets Mr. Rochester and finds him attractive, but she never feels herself inferior to him, even though his status and wealth made him so high ever for her to approach.
You're afraid of me.
I'm not afraid. I've simply no wish to talk nonsense.
Love, in Jane Eyre's understanding, is pure, divine, and it cannot be measured by status, power, or property, and so on. She plunges herself into getting esteem when she felt insulted by Mr. Rochester, who proposed to her despite having his own legal wife alive. Jane mentioned to him that,
How? I have lived a full life here. I have not been trampled on. I have not been petrified. I have not been excluded from every glimpse of what is bright. I have known you, Mr. Rochester, and it strikes me with anguish to be torn from you.
Then why must you leave?
Because of your wife.
I have no wife.
But you are to be married.
Jane, you must stay.
I've become nothing to you. Am I a machine without feelings? Do you think that because I am poor, obscure, plain and little, that I am soulless and heartless? I have as much soul as you and full as much heart, and if God had blessed me with beauty and wealth, I could make it as hard for you to leave me as it is for I to leave you. I'm not speaking to you through mortal flesh. It is my spirit that addresses your spirit, as if we'd passed through the grave and stood at God's feet equal, as we are.
As we are.
I am a free human being with an independent will which I now exert to leave you.
Although she had a deep affection for Mr. Rochester, yet she couldn't stand any compromise in her marriage. She wouldn't give up her independence and self-respect. To her, being independent is more important than love.
Be my wife.
You have a wife.
I pledge you my honor, my fidelity,
You cannot.
my love until death do us part.
What of truth? I must respect myself.
So she chose to leave her beloved and wanted to make a new life. And later, during her stay with John and his sisters, she again finds herself in a challenge of love. Though John is a handsome guy and he proposes to Jane,
I go to India in 6 weeks. I can see what your gifts are and why they were given. God intended you for a missionary's wife. I want to claim you.
I'm not fit for it.
yet she rejects outrightly because John thinks that Jane Eyre is a good choice for a missionary's wife. Charlotte Bronte depicts Jane Eyre's image through 3 steps. The first step is her feminism thought starts to sprout from her fighting to her poor child life. The second step is her feminism thought shapes from the miserable experiences in boarding school, where she comes to understand the theory, the survival of the fittest. The impressive part is the third step, that is her pursuit for true love, independence and equality, where the feminism thought grows to mature. Jane makes a passionate plea for women to be allowed to use their talents and not to be confined to the home, making pudding, knitting stocking, playing on the piano, embroidering bags, etc.
I wish a woman could have action in her life, like a man. It agitates me to pain that the skyline over there is ever our limit. I long sometimes for a power of vision that would overpass it, if I could behold all I imagine. I've never seen a city. I've never spoken with men, and I fear my whole life will pass.
Jane Eyre's story tells us that in a male-dominated society, a woman should strive for the decency and dignity. In the face of hardships in life, the courageous women should be brave enough to battle against it. Self-esteem is the primary element to protect, and the feminism taught how to defend ourselves. Thus, Jane's uncompromising pursuit for esteem, daunting mentality, and creative thoughts represent her feminist consciousness and defining feature of an early prototype of new women.